what we wanted to talk about was how to get your first job, so summer job, internship, apprenticeship. So I guess being as both of you are sort of looking for, well, Wendell is looking for a summer job, and Tabby sort of thinking about whether he wants to get an internship for the summer if one can come by. So I guess some of the stuff will be relevant and some of it maybe not so much, but you can take from it what you can and what helps you. And then if anything, just you can always give us a shout and we can help where we can. So I mean, it's a short presentation anyway. Just going through where to look, how to look, and then also how to get ready for your interviews. But this will be applicable to different pieces, of course. So of course for you, Wendell, you're looking for like just a summer job, so the process for you might be a bit shorter. And then for you, Tabby, who's looking for who may be looking for an internship, it could be a different process, but we'll try and cover those parts in this as well. So I'll let is it Mima that's kicking us off or Sandy kicking us off?
I'll kick off today. So yeah, just to reiterate what Lynn said, we're going to go through sort of the job search process and how you should go about that. And then, how to write a good application once you've found some jobs that you want to apply to. And then if you're fortunate and being called to an interview, how you prepare for that and make sure you will perform best on that day. So looking at the job search process, I kind of split this up into different kinds of roles that you might be looking for. So maybe the summer jobs, but it could be relevant to either of you. But from my experience, at least, of applying for summer jobs, you tend to find that these are quite competitive. There's a lot of young people with a lot of spare time over the summer holidays looking for something to apply to. So I think one thing that's key here is volume, in terms of probably if you have the time to just try and get as many applications as you can out there, because unfortunately, because they're quite competitive, you might not hear a response from everybody. So if you could spend a day or two where you can filter through for what kind of summer job you want, but just get as many as you can out there, and that kind of is the best way to hedge your bets, and hopefully somebody will respond. In terms of places of where to go for summer jobs, we've listed here a few websites that are quite good. You've got Student Jobs, Indeed, Simply Hired. These are all kind of, I guess, well, Indeed is quite a general website, but Student Jobs in particular and Simply Hired do tend to cater to some of these sort of roles for young people. But in addition to that, one thing that I've always found works or gives you an idea of what's available is just Googling summer jobs in your area. You could literally summer jobs in Birmingham, summer jobs in Forest Gate, summer jobs in Liverpool. And that often also yields quite some decent results as to some very short-term temporary contracts that are being advertised for at the moment. Other thing that I think was quite good, one job that I did as my first summer job was an NCS role. I don't know if either of you two have done NCS, or if you've heard of NCS. I'm hoping you've heard of it, fingers crossed. But when you turn 18, they do have some roles that are open to 18-year-olds to be like a senior mentor in the program, and that's quite a fun way and an easy way probably to make money, where you work for maybe 2 or 3 weeks for your summer, and you almost effectively hang out with young people that are about your age. I guess NCS participants will be like 15, 16, so not very far from your age. Obviously, you have to be the responsible person in the group, but effectively you have fun for a few weeks and get paid for it. So they, I know, are still hiring for this summer. You'd have to my advice there would be to Google NCS roles in your area, and I'm sure you might be able to find something. Summer camps are also quite a good one. There are a lot of summer camps for either young children or international children that are here to learn English for the summer. So if you look around your area as well, Googling summer camp jobs is often something around. And okay, I'll move on to part-time jobs next. If anybody has any questions, by the way, maybe just interject. We'll have some time for Q&A at the end, but please feel free to interject partway through if I say something that you want to ask a question about. Okay, part-time jobs. Part-time jobs, this is for, I guess, whilst you're studying at uni or maybe if you're going to sixth form banding, that might be also relevant to you if you've got some free periods and you want to try and work around that. These are a few websites that I found useful. Unitemps in particular is actually a really good one, and it's an initiative started by I think a few these guys were uni graduates, and they started a website where they have a lot of temporary contracts around different universities campuses and sites, so that it's not open to just uni students, it's open to anybody, but they are based kind of in a few key university areas. So there's some universities around London and around Warwick and I think Nottingham, and you can check on the website, but they also have tons of really short-term temporary contracts. It might be even a one-day job if you have a weekend free and you want to go try and make some money. They're quite good. Tutoring as well is also another really good alternative. That's one that I've done myself a few times. And there's plenty of online tutoring services or in-person tutoring services. If there's something, it's a subject where you feel particularly comfortable in, where you feel like you could give your insight to somebody younger and or older, depending on your area of expertise. Tutoring is also a good way to make money, and you can get paid quite decently. I mean, anything upwards of 10, 15, 20, 25 pounds an hour, depending on your level of experience there. And Explore Learning as well is something that's also similar to tutoring, but it's mostly for primary school students. You have centres like Explore and Kumon, similar types of structures whereby it's an after-school tutoring club, and you work there as a tutor, and you'll come in for a couple of hours in the evening, and there'll be a group of young students, and you'll help them. They'll be doing different things between English, math, and stuff. But if that's something that you think you're comfortable with, maybe a particular subject in school, it's probably an easy way to make decent money as a part-time job, because you probably don't have to do much extra thinking. It's something that you already know and are quite well versed in. At the bottom there, it says apply directly. That's something I iterate for both part-time jobs and internships. A lot of companies will, whilst you can find some of these roles advertised generally on the internet if you Google, a lot of companies, will have these advertised on their poster website. So once you find maybe a role that you're interested in, try and go to the company website itself and apply directly from there. And I think, at least in my experience, I found that companies are more responsive if I apply to them directly as opposed to through like an intermediary job post website. Rattling through, okay, I realize I'm taking ages. Rattling through onto internships and apprenticeships and work experiences. Just quickly, those three websites are really good websites. Rate My Placement, Bright Network, and apprenticeships on the government website. These are really good for a bit more formalized work experiences and internships, where it's quite like the programs that you find there are quite good in terms of their structure. For not only do you work for the summer or for a period and make money, but it's also good learning opportunities where there's an employer that will take you through a training program and pay you whilst they do that. I know there's also some other companies, especially in the financial services sector, that do work experience programs that come with scholarships. So if you're interested in the Bank of England and Lloyds, like Lloyds Bank, I know they both do really good scholarship programs where they'll give you a certain amount of money whilst you're studying at university, but will also give you the opportunity to come in internship, do an internship in their offices every summer whilst you're studying. So yeah, maybe I haven't gone into too much depth about any of these, but if you have questions either now or afterwards, feel free to ask. The only thing I haven't mentioned actually, I say this, was Facebook jobs. So if you don't know, Facebook also recently added a feature whereby people can post jobs, just like on the marketplace where people can post ads for clothes and other things that they're selling. They now have a feature where people can post jobs, and that's quite good for the sort of summer part-time temporary roles. And then for the more structured internships and apprenticeships, LinkedIn is also a really good one. I'm not sure how many of you at this stage have a LinkedIn page, but that's a really good thing to maybe get yourself integrated with. The sooner the better, and you can have a look at what kind of roles are out there. You can see what other kind of candidates are also up for similar roles, and you get a good gauge of, where you need to be when you apply for these roles. if there's no questions, okay, I'll just quickly rattle through a couple of general tips that apply to any application or any job search process. Is, like I said before, take a look at company websites. Really important. A lot of companies will, I think, post some of their best and first jobs on their personal websites first before they post them anywhere else. Number two, when you apply, document your applications. I mean, it's good to keep track so you know and don't get confused when some recruiter calls you. You think it's from a different company, so it's good to keep track of where you've applied. Also, you can use information that you've used in previous job applications to help you in future job applications. Three was to diversify your applications. That goes back to when I was talking about volume, especially for a lot of these competitive roles, like part-time and summer jobs, because there's so many applicants out there. Try and get yourself as many different kinds, just as many applications out there, just to diversify your risk. You know, you don't want to get your heart set on one particular role, and if it doesn't go to plan, you know, maybe not have a plan B. So get as many applications out there as you can. And number four is apply early. A lot of companies may sometimes close job posts sooner than the deadline if they get sufficiently good applicants way ahead of the deadline. So the sooner you apply when you see something, the better your chances are of at least making it through to the next steps. And that's all I want to say in terms of the job search process. If nobody has any questions, I'll pause for a second. We'll move on to the next section. And I'll hand over to Nuba.
All right. Morning or afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to talk about how to write an application. So first of all, we start off with, please feel free as well to stop me at any point in which you would like to interject or ask a question. We're pretty much open here today since there's a small group of us. So first of all, what is a job application? And I put simply, it's your time to shine, because that literally is all it is. Please do not be daunted nor scared about the job application process. Quite simply, you are just there to show off and showcase yourself. So a standard job application will be showing your education history, highlight any skills that you have that are relevant to the job, as well as about speaking about your experience. So depending at what stage you are in life, if you are someone who is a school leaver and you are about 16, you actually have a lot more experience to showcase, a lot more experience to showcase than you think. And that may be you are busy with after school clubs, you're busy with running some sort of team, or you're a part of some sort of team, or you volunteer, or you do the newspaper round, for example, or you babysit. All of these things provide skills. So don't ever think that something that you're doing is too small and it's not valid enough to put on a job application. So yeah, job application is your time to shine. Next, it is to fulfill the requirements of the job application. It's really important for you to look at the application, read the application, and understand what the application is asking you to do. And so I'll split this into two parts. So part A, some job applications will have the requirement of asking you to just submit a CV, and that is it. So we'll look at this now. So choose your template. When I say choose your template, pick what CV you're going to use. This might not matter as much to someone who is just left school, so maybe just finish your GCSEs or you're just about to finish your sixth form. So when I say choose your template, just pick something that's simple, that will get all the information across. Match your CV to the job. So again, look at what is being asked of you. If someone's asking you to talk about, you know, your hobbies, make sure you put your hobbies inside there. Just stuff like that. Length and presentation. I don't know if we still have Ngozi here, but if you were here for the conversation that Ngozi did a while back about CVs, I don't think a CV should be anything more than 2 pages. So try and fit everything that you need to fit in, as well as the presentation. Make sure it looks nice, make sure it looks presentable, something that you'd like to look at, something that you'd like to show off. And Ngozi was talking about how it doesn't take long for recruiters or people that are looking at your CV to just scan through it. And they'll be looking for key bits of information. So it's really important to match your CV to the job, as well as the length and presentation to look good. 4, don't be shy. As I said, your job application is your time to show off. So do the most and do enough to secure that job. 5, give examples. This is really, really, really important. I've said this is really important for the last 4, but it is important. Give examples of what you have done and be proud about it. So as I was highlighting earlier, experience comes from all sorts of places, all sorts of avenues. If you are applying for a job that is, for example, sales job, and within the job description, it speaks about how we're looking for someone who is a hard worker and they're able to work in a team. And all of these things, there'll always be keywords in the job description. Give examples of that and always start with I within your CV. Don't start with saying, well, I was working with Mima. No, talk about what you did, talk about what you can offer, and talk about what you can present. And lastly, be concise. I haven't been concise this whole period I've been talking, but be concise, be clear, and be to the point. Don't write paragraphs. Remember, you are trying to have a good length. You don't want to go over 2 pages of your CV. And then we come to part B. Some other job applications will ask for you to present a CV and also to present something called a personal statement, and they will complement each other. So your personal statement is basically you just talking about how amazing you are and all the things that you've done, but in more depth. Some other applications will ask for your references on the spot, things like that. Number 3, check thoroughly. Check. Grammar and presentation, as I said, grammar, length, and presentation is so important. So read your application / CV a couple of times, make sure there's no mistakes, and ask someone to read through it as well. A fresh pair of eyes will help you. Do not miss an opportunity because you were not thorough. Things like spelling mistakes, things like grammar, be very anal about it. I think that's the correct word I can use. Be very specific about it. And lastly, complete and submit. You are ready to go to the working world. Many job applications are long and time consuming, and as Sandy was saying, apply early, apply on time, because you don't want to be sitting there a day before the deadline and be like, oh my gosh, I haven't done it, and your hands are on your head and you're a bit confused. So be early, be thorough, take your time, you've got that. So this is how to write an application. There is a full document that we have. If you'd like it, please feel free to drop us an email or message either me, Lynn, or Sandy, and we can share this document with you on how to write an application. It's more in depth. But back to Lynn, I think.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Mia. So once you've done both of those things, you've sort of looked for your job, and on one of those websites, the many websites that Sandy shared, and then you've got your application in, and they've gotten back to you, and they're giving you an interview date. It's time to prep, right? So you have to get ready to do the interview. There really isn't like a wrong way, I guess, to do this, but this is like how I've done it in the past, and I found that it works quite well for me. So I'm happy to share that with you guys. So usually what I start with doing, I research the company. You want to know as much about the company that you're going to work for as possible, because one, it shows that like you're interested, but it shows initiative that you can go away and look at something and research it and also get that information together. So I would start there when I'm preparing for my interview. And you can use different sites, right? You can go on Google, just do a Google search, go on the company's website, because they're going to have a lot of information on there. They've got like an About Us section. But there's also a site that I use called Glassdoor. You have to make an account, obviously, like everything else on the internet, but it has tons of reviews and just different information about different companies. So that's probably the one that I would go to first, especially for you, Tabby, because that would cover a lot of the companies that you might want to work for, and you get reviews from people who work there, etc., and also some interview prep from there. Once I've done that, and then using my research, I'll go away and start looking at possible questions for the role that I'm going for. So for you, Tabby, you probably find that like you can Google search questions for a software developer or software programmer interview, and then I'd prep those with answers. So I'd do like a table on a Word document, and I put the questions on one side and I put my answers on the other side, just to sort of get yourself familiar with what you're probably going to be asked, but also just to know what, like, just to get your answers ready just in case when you get to the interview as well. You can do this by yourself, or you can practice your answers with like a friend or a family member, just to practice the interview so you're not anxious or nervous when you get there. One of the biggest things that people also like usually miss out is asking questions at the end. So questions at the end show that you're curious, show that like you're interested in the role as well. So I'd also prep the questions that I want to ask at the end beforehand. Either you can do questions that you want to start with, or questions at the end, but have some questions that you're going to ask the interviewer, because you don't want to get there and they go, any questions for us, and you go, no. Always have a question to ask at the end. It just shows that you're really interested in the role as well. And then once I've done that, I start to plan what I'm going to wear, and I plan my route as well. What I'm going to wear is because on the morning of, I want to be as prepared as possible. So I don't want to spend time looking for my clothes, or where's my shirt, mom, where are my trousers, etc. You want to have all that stuff ready the night before, ironed and ready to wear. And also the route, because you don't want to get lost on the way. I know it seems a bit silly to sort of point that out, but a lot of people always think that they know where they're going to go on the day, or they know where the office is, and then they spend 20 minutes trying to find the office, or trying to find the place where the interview is held. So if you can, you could probably try and make the journey beforehand, just so you know where you're supposed to go. But if not, just plan it with using like a Google Maps or something. But just make sure you know where you're supposed to be, and make sure you know what you're going to be wearing on the day. And then just to cap us off, the best thing you can do for yourself is also get a good night's rest. I know it sounds like one of those things that your mom would say, or your teacher would say, but it really does go a long way. And then in the morning when you wake up and you don't feel tired or feel groggy, but you're sort of like fresh, rested, and sort of ready to go to your interview. It also lets you sort of like beat the anxiety off, because one, you don't want to be nervous about your interview and then tired as well. That's like a double whammy. So you want to sort of, feel fresh, ready to go, get some rest, and then go do your best in the interview. So yeah, those would be my 5 steps in terms of how to prep for an interview. I'm sure there's tons of other ways you could do it. There's tons of other techniques that people use. People use some apps, etc. But this is how I would do it. Sort of make it very simple. Research the company, prep your answers, prep what you're going to ask as well. Get your clothes ready and know your route, and then get some rest as well. So yeah, that is sort of it in terms of the content that we wanted to present to you guys. I'm sure you guys are going to say no, but does anyone have any questions that they want to ask, or anything that could be close to what we're talking about? It could be about a different topic, but if you have any questions, just ping them either in the chat or come off mute.